Social consideration in IT environment. The advent of the working of CBS environment in the banking, coupled with changes in technology, use of different payment systems, integrated Aadhaar, the cardless transaction has changed the way of banking used in the earlier times. However, the technology developed has brought a new challenge for the auditors. The auditors are required to be conducted through system. Considering the importance of IT systems in the preparation and presentation of financial statement, it's imperative that the bank should share detailed information with the auditors alike. Overall IT policy, structure and environment of banking IT, data processing, data interference with other systems, data integrity, and how it is secured. Business continuity plan and disaster control plan, accounting manually and critical accounting entries, its process and environment of IT sectors, control over key aspects, use of various account heads, expense booking or booking, overhead identifications, control and recording various e-plan, banking, internet plan, banking products and channels, MIS reports being generated on the preference in the priority. Major exception reports and process of generating including embedded logic. The process of generating various information related to various disclosure in the financial statements are involved in IT systems. The overall review of IT environment and computerized accounting system has been taken ahead of office level. The branch auditor generally do not have access to this IT policies. The process of implementation of this bank, hence based upon the guidance and information serviced by the statutory central auditor, branch auditor need to ensure that the data review and analysis through CVS is carried out and the test of control substantive checking of sample transaction is carried out at the branch level and result of shared with the statutory central auditors. It is responsibility of the statutory central auditor to obtain understanding of IT environment and various controls put in the place by the management and evaluate whether the controls are operating effectively. The methodology adopted by the bank is implemented and monitoring control should be discussed with the head of IT department based on this understanding. Audit procedures and as can be designed. The key security control aspects the auditor needs to address and when understanding the audit is computerized banking includes ensure the authorized, accurate and complete data is made available for processing, so not irregular data, complete data. Ensure that the case of interruption due to power, mechanicals or processing failure, the system restarts without distorting the completion of entries and record. There's no interpretation of power பண்ணும்போது மெக்கானிக்கல் எரர்லாம் இருக்கக்கூடாது கம்ப்ளீட் ரெக்கார்ட் வேணும். Ensure the system prevents unauthorized amendment to the programs. No unlimited program control. Verify whether the access control assigned to the staff working match with the responsibility as per manual. It is important for the auditor to ensure that the access and authorization rights given to the employees are appropriate. Verify the segregation of duties ensured while granting and system access to user, that is when user activations are monitored by performing an activity log review. Whatever user whatever activity has been used, you should see. Verify the changes made in the parameter of user level authorization. Verify the charges calculated manually for accounts when functions are not regulated through parameters or properly accounted for authorization. Verify the exceptional transaction report being authorized and verified on daily basis on the concern of issue. It is important for the auditor to understand the nature of exception and the implementation of financials. Verify that the account master and balance cannot be modified, amended, and altered except by the authorized personnel. Verify that all the general ledger accounts coded authorized by the head of office are in existence in systems. Verify the balance in the general ledger tallies with the balance in subsidiary books. Well, the balance match ஆகுங்களா? This is the main thing. Internal auditing and inspection. The Central Audit and Inspection Department of Bank is combined centralized functions some level of decentralization, which is usually headed by a chief audit executive. It is responsible for undertaking a risk-based internal audit as per the framework as stipulated by the RBI. It is also responsible for identifying of branches of revenue audit, appointment of concurrent audit, deciding their scopes, meeting the concurrent auditors, discussing the issues, conducting training if needed, and review the work of concurrent auditors. The primary functions are which ensure that the audit function is handled smoothly and effectively and effectively and efficiently. The risk-based internal audit is conducted based upon the risk assessment of business and control risk branch. Risk assessment procedures include identifying the inherent risk of various activities undertaken by the branch business risk, assessment of effectiveness of control system of monitoring the inherent risk of business branch control risk, making assessment of level and direction of various risk areas, assessing the level and direction of overall business risk and control risk, drawing up the main matrix taking into account factors risk of branch. Internal control of certain selected areas. The system of internal control branch banks are required to implement and maintain a system of internal control for mitigating a risk, maintaining good governance, and meet the regulatory requirement. Given below the example of internal control that are typically implemented in banks: central control, cash control, clearing control, bill of collection control, bill of purchase control, loan advance control, demand draft control, internal branch account control, credit card operation control. So these are the controls actually we have. General control. The staff and the officers of the bank should be shifted from one position to another frequently without prior notice. The work of one person should always be checked by another person, usually by an officer in normal course of business. The arithmetic accuracy of the book should be proved independently every day. All bank forms, check, demand draft, pay order, traveler checks, foreign currency card should be kept in the possession of an officer. Another responsible officer should verify the issuance of stocks of such a stationery. Mail should be opened by a responsible officer. Signature on all the letters and advice received from other branches of the bank in correspondence should be checked by an officer with the signature book. Signature book and a calligraphy book should be kept at the responsible officer and access should be allowed only to authorized officer. Banks should take out insurance policy against loss due to all the risk of fire, natural calamities, theft, and employees infidelity. The financial power of officers of different grade should be clearly defined. There should be surprise inspection of head office and branch office, periodic interval at the internal audit department. This irregular points out the inspection report should be promptly rectified. Cash. Cash should be kept in joint custody of two responsible officers. In addition to the nominal checking of the chief cashier, cash should be test checked daily, counted full occasionally by responsible officer. After the handling the cash, actual cash in hand should be agreed with the balance showing in the day book every day. Cashier should have no access to the customer ledger accounts or day books. This is important safeguard as a branch management are often tempted to use cashier because of this workers who shorten working hours and ledger clerks in the absence of irregular staff, etc. This can result in substantial loss to banks. No access to customers ledger. They should not have customers ledger and day books. Cash should have only cash. Okay. A counterfolio of cash receipt vouchers, a counterfolio of pay-in slips lodged by the depositor should be signed by an officer in the cash department in addition to the received cash. Payment should be made only after voucher, that is cash vote, check, demand draft, etc. has been passed by the payment of authorized officer and have been entered in the customs account. Receipt and payment scrolls on the total should be compared with the cash columns of day books by independent person. High value cash receipt and payment should be verified by the higher officer, branch manager, and excess cash balance should be remitted to the currency chest according to the bank retention limit on daily basis. Clearing under the check trunching system CTS implemented by the RBI, electronic image of check is transmitted to the paying branch through a clearing house, along with relevant information like data of MIC and brand, data of presentation bank. This effectively eliminates association of cost of movement of physical checks, reducing the time required for the allocation. As per the RBI guidance, branches are required to either call all the customers and email them for a check received for amount of 5 lakhs and respect to inward clearance. The auditor must verify the complaints on the test check basis. Auditors check whether the signature of the drawer of the check is being verified by the staff and what else there has been liability of paying bank under circumstances. Unpaid check received in the outward clearance should be either sent to the customer at the recorded address or the customer to be informed to be collected the same from the bank branch. Bill of collections. All the documents accompanying the bill should be received and entered in the register for responsible officer. At the time of dispatch, the officer should see that all the documents are set along with the bills. Branch of customers and principal should be credited only after the bills has been collected and advised to effect received from the bank manager agent to which such sent for collection. It should be ensured the bills sent from one branch for collection to another branch are not taken in the bills for collection twice in amalgamation of balance sheet of the bank. For the purpose, receiving branch should reverse the entries regarding such bills at the end of the year for closing purposes. Bill purchase. At the time of purchase of bill, the officer should verify that all the documents are title and property assigned to the bank. Sufficient margin is kept for while purchasing and discounting the bill to cover the decline in the value of security, etc. If a bank is unable to collect the bill on the due date, immediate steps should be taken to recover the amount from the drawer against the security provided. All irregular outstanding accounts should be reported to head office. And in the case of bill purchase outstanding at the closing of the year, the discount received thereon should be properly appropriate between 2 years. Loan advances. The bank should direct advances only after satisfying itself as a creditworthy of the borrowers or obtaining sanction from the proper authorization bank. All the necessary documents, agreements, demand, promissory notes, letter of hypothecation should be executed by the parties before advances are made. Sufficient margin to be kept against securities taken to cover any decline in the value thereof, compelling the Reserve Bank directory. Such margin should be determined by the proper authorities of the bank as a general policy or after declining the propriety of specific accounts. All the securities should be received and returned by the responsible officer. They should keep in the joint custody of two such officers. All the securities required registered should be registered in the name of the bank, otherwise accompanied by the document sufficient to give the title of the bank. All the accounts should be kept in both the drawer power and sanctioning limit in prescribed norms. Additional temporary limit may be sanctioned for a maximum of 20% existing limit and 90 days of maximum tenure. All the accounts exceeding the sanction limit on drawing power or any given unapproved securities otherwise regularly should be brought on the notice of management head office regularly. The operation such advance account should be reviewed at least once in a year. Demand draft DD. Signature on DD should be checked by an officer with a signature book. All the DD sold issued by the branch should be immediately confirmed by the advisor of paying branch. If the paying branch does not receive prompt confirmation of any DD by issuing the branch or does not receive credit in account of the branch, it should take immediate steps to ascertain the reason. Inter branch accounts. Accounts should be adjusted only on the basis of advice and not on the strength and entries formed in the statement of accounts received from the branch. Prompt action should be taken preferably by the central authorized if any entries are not responded to any branch of reasonable time. Credit card operations. There should be an effective screening of applications for applying good credit assignment. There should be a strict control over storage and issue of cards. There should be a system that by merchant confirm the status of the unutilized limit of credit card holders from the bank before accepting the settlement. These cases of amount which settle exceed specific percentage of total limit of card holders. There should be a system of prompt reporting by the merchants to all settlements acceptable by the through credit cards. Reimbursement of merchant should be made one day after verification of validity of merchant acceptance of card. All the reimbursement gross commission should be immediately charged to the customer account. There should be a system to ensure that systems are sent regularly and promptly to the customer. There will be a system to monitor and follow up customer payments. Payments overdue beyond the reasonable period should be identified and attained. Be careful. For a defaulter customers, credit should be stopped by informing the merchant through periodic bullets as early as possible to avoid increasing loss. There should be a system of periodic review of credit card holders. On the basis limit of customers may be revised if necessary. The review should also be include determination of doubtful accounts and provision of respect thereof. While doing the audit of branch of accounts 31st March, it seemed that the stock statement of the same week is submitted by the borrower month after and those changes the month at top. This is just filled in formal complaints. Such thing happened because of responsible officer does not check the stock statement. Things into the system. This is a lapse of internal control. Due to such a lapse, neither the borrower nor the bank staff is in sincerely. This posed a risk of loss. The compliance with CSR and SLR requirement, cash reserve ratio and statutory liquid ratio. The cash reserve ratio is a specified minimum fraction of total deposit from the customers with the commercial bank have to hold on a reserve either in a cash or deposit in the central bank. One of the important determinants of cash balance to maintain by the banking companies and other scheduled banks to require for maintenance by certain minimum cash reserve. While the requirement of maintenance of cash reserve by the banking companies is contained in the Banking Regulation Act 1949, a responding requirement for scheduled bank is continued to be Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. The RBI from time to time review the evolving liquidity situation and according deciding the rate of CSR required to be maintained by the scheduled commercial bank. Therefore, this auditor needed to be therefore the master circular issued by time to time regarding to ensure the compliance of CSR requirement. Statutory liquidity ratio requirement. SLR requirements every scheduled bank in India required to maintain a form of certain liquid assets, such as gold, cash, government approved securities before providing credit to the customers. The Reserve Bank of India required statutory central auditor bank to verify the compliance of SLR requirement 12 odd dates in different months in official year, not being Fridays. This objective maintaining SLRs have an amount a form of liquid asset which can be used to handle the sudden increase of demand of amount from the depositors. The resultant report is to be sent to the top management of the bank and Reserve Bank. Correctness of compliance of DDTL demand time liability positions maintenance of liquid asset as per the section 24 of Banking Regulation Act. Audit approach and procedures. Area of focus compliance of CSR and LSR requirement. Obtain understanding of the relevant circular instruction of RBI, particularly regarding composition of items of DTL, that is demand time liability. The request of the branch auditor to send their weekly trial balance as a flash on Friday, that is in consolidated on the head office. Based upon the consolidation, the DTL position will determine for every reporting Friday. The statutory central auditor should request the branch auditors to verify the correctness of trial balance relevant to the date selected by him or her. The branch auditor should also be specified request to examine the cash balance at the branch on a selected days. Examine the test basis. The consolidated account of DTL position prepared by the bank is reference to the related return received from the branch. Auditor should examine whether the valuation of securities done by the bank in accordance with the guidelines prescribed by the RBI. While examining the composite DTL, specifically examine that items has been excluded from liability as per the RBI guidelines. Some items are paid up capital reserve, any credit balance in profit and loss account, amount of loan taken from RBI, amount of refinance taken from Exim Bank, NHB, Citibank, and NABARD. The part of amount of receivable from the borrowers in respect of debts, consideration of bad or full recovery, amount received in Indian currency against import bills and held in subsidiary debtors, pending receipts for final rates. Unadjusted deposit balances lying in the link bank for agency businesses, dividend warrants, interest warrant, refund of obligation money, etc. In the aspect of the shares and debentures to the extent of payment made by other branches, but not adjusted with the link branches, margin head and kept in the sundry debtors and funded balances. Similarly, specific examining that the items has been included in the liability as per RBA governance. Some of them are net credit balance in the branch adjustment account. Borrowing from the abroad or bank in India needs to be considered as a liability to others and thus need to be considered as a gross level, unlike liability towards banking system in India, which is permitted to be netted off against asset towards banking system in India. This is adverse balances in nostro minor account need to be considered as a liability to others. The reconciliation of NASTRO accounts, that is NASTRO minor accounts, should be scrutinized carefully to analyze the ascertains if any inward remittance or received on behalf of the customers constituent of the banks and has been remitted unaccounted, and any other debit entries has been remained unaccounted and be permitted of any liability for the bank. Examine whether the consideration prepared by the branch include relevant information respect of all the branches. If it may be noted that even though the interest accrued daily, it is recorded in the books only in a periodic interval. Please examine whether such interest accrued but not accounted for the books is included in the computed demand till liability. Demand and time liability. Auditor at the central level should apply the audit procedure listed above in the overall consolidated paper for the bank as for where such a procedure is followed, the central auditor should adequate procedures to same that while reporting the complaints with the SLR requirement, auditor should specify the number of unaudited branches. State that she has relied on the return of receipt from the unaudited branches form of opinion. Reason there has been introduced automated data flow ADF from CSR, LSR reporting, and the auditor should develop necessary audit procedures to should have that.